Alright, hey everybody. Just wanted to check in with you all real quick here as you are, excuse me, presumably working on your second draft of the third and final essay, the researched argument. Remember, for this draft, for this essay, there are three drafts. You completed the first one a week or so ago. If you did so, I already gave you a grade and feedback. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions or need clarification, please just let me know. I will be happy to expand upon that for you. Um, Again, this is week 3 of the researched essay. You are finishing up, actually, I think this is week 4, isn't it? Yeah, week 4, or second to last week. You are supposed to be finishing up your second draft for some additional feedback, and then next week you will do your third and final draft. But I just want to go over some basics real fast for this essay. Most of it should have been covered on Blackboard, but sometimes it's helpful just to hear it, especially from your instructor. So I'm going to read through the brief assignment description that you should have already read, but again, I'm just going to read through it, kind of clarify a few things, and then I have a few notes as well. This is in the second. This is the April 5th through April 11th folder, so the week 2 for the research. So it says, a persuasive essay attempts to convince the audience to accept or at least respect your position on a controversial topic. This type of essay appeals to the audience through sound, logical reasoning, argumentation, and emotional appeals, persuasion. Break that down a little bit more here in a moment. You will start this assignment by choosing one of the selected videos from this section. Remember, there were 3 of those. You have Is Google Making Us Stupid by Carr, Connected But Alone by Turkle, and Why Privacy Matters by Greenwald. So again, I don't care which one you pick, but just you've already supposedly picked one of those. So make sure that you are focusing on that. And again, in addition to picking one of those, you need to also decide, are you agreeing or disagreeing with something that they say in the video. I will not be grading you based upon which video you choose or whether or not you agree or disagree with the speaker, but I will be focusing more on, are you making a strong, sound, logical argument. Okay, so then, like I said, you will pick one. You'll develop an argument of at least 900 words. That's roughly 3.5 to 4 pages. I mean, I want you to meet the requirement. I'm not a big stickler. I'm not literally there counting every single word. Like, oh, you have 879. That's not long enough. As long as it's close and you make a good argument, that's what I'm looking for. I mean, you could have 1,000 words and it not be a very good essay. So don't just focus only on word count, but try to get to at least 3.5 pages to have a chance of getting a solid grade here. So you either what was I here? Okay, so you pick one, and then you will either discuss something that either supports or refutes a related issue of technology raised in the chosen video. Again, these videos talk about a lot of different topics. Well, one topic, but a lot of different parts within that. You don't have to focus on everything that they say. The videos are like 10 to 15 minutes long each. You don't have to focus on all that the authors or the speakers are saying in this. Just make sure you focus on one issue, one aspect of technology, and then do you agree with what they're saying or do you disagree, and then discuss why. For example, a student may argue against Sherry Turkle's assertion that social media has, quote, blurred the definition, end quote, of intimacy for young people in America, or you could argue that counter to Nicholas Carr's warnings, having one brain connected directly to the internet is simply the next stage of evolution. So maybe even though Carr thinks it's a potentially bad thing, maybe you disagree. You think this is good. This is natural evolution. This is where we're headed. Let's see. Regardless, the essay must pick a side of the issue and develop an argument that is sound with logical reasoning and evidence. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me whether you agree or disagree. Whatever. I mean, you don't have to necessarily believe that. Maybe you could agree with them, but you want to think outside the box and challenge yourself a little bit and look at the opposing view. You're welcome to do that. I'm not going to, say, "Oh, do you actually believe this?" As long as you make a good argument, that's what I'm looking for. Last part of this. Any successful argument will be supported with evidence. With this in mind, you will pick 2 of the pre-selected pieces of research on Blackboard and use them to support your argument. Uh, normally I like to give students the freedom to search the internet and find sources, but since this is an asynchronous online course and I don't have the ability to work with you one-on-one, it's easier, more convenient this way. You've got the sources here for you. I think they are in the week 2 folder. Actually, it's same folder as where I'm reading from right now. This is the April 5th, April 11th folder. Pick at least 2 of those sources for support, whether you're agreeing or disagreeing. And you can also, of course, use personal experience and personal observation, what you've noticed through your years and experience with technology. Again, an argument is basically your opinion, and then you take that opinion and you support it with research and data and evidence. So again, whatever you want to argue is fine with me. Use your personal ideas and experience, but also support those with some of the pre-selected research in the week 2 folder. Some other things I want to talk about. As with any essay, make sure you have a strong thesis. The thesis statement, as you should know by now, belongs in the introduction, and it should go at or near the end of the intro. It shouldn't be the first sentence, and it really shouldn't be midway through. You want to give yourself enough time to talk about your topic, give a little background information. You're not making a judgment yet. Just kind of explain to the reader what the issue or topic or problem is, and then you will lead into your claim. You lead into your thesis. So your thesis itself should make a claim. It should, in this case, address the speaker in the video that you are referring to. So you could say, Nicholas Carr states, or in Sherry Turkle's TED Talk, she notes. Make sure it's clear to the reader which video or which speaker you're referring to, and make a claim about it. You can even say, let's see. I don't really want you to use first person. I don't want you to use I, like I believe or I feel that, because this is your essay and obviously it is your opinion. So you don't really need to say that. You could just say, Nicolas Cage. Wow, that'd be nice. We should have done a film studies class. Nicholas Carr. While Nicholas Carr says, he, what? I'm going to backtrack my last statement. You can use I for this. Try to avoid it throughout the body of your essay, but in your thesis statement, you can use I, because it's kind of easier for this type of argument. So you could say, Carr states blank. However, I disagree because. Or Greenwald notes that, fill in the blank, and I agree because, or I disagree because. In that case, you can use I. But again, try to avoid that throughout the body of your essay. Try to take more of an objective look, an outsider look at this. So again, thesis at the end of the intro makes a claim, addresses the speaker and or the video, lets the reader know what side that you're on. And please also put this in bold. This isn't an official college or MLA rule, but it's easier for me so I can know what you are telling me your thesis statement is. A couple more things here, and then we'll wrap up. Make sure you're looking at both sides of the argument. Whether you're agreeing or disagreeing with what the speaker is saying, make sure you're looking at both sides, examining both of those. You don't have to do it evenly, and doing so doesn't mean that you are saying that your argument is wrong or that the other argument is right, but it's a good way for you to examine both perspectives and show that, hey, even though I believe this, the other side has a good point with this. Or sometimes, as even you may have noticed in some of the handouts from last week, sometimes it allows you to prepare a better rebuttal or a better response. If you kind of predict what the opposing argument is going to be, you can look at that and say, hey, a lot of people think this, however, I disagree, and here's why. And this also makes you seem like a more reasonable arguer as well. Because if you're just focusing on your own view, like you're plugging your ears, and I'm not going to listen to you, that makes you seem very unreasonable and irrational. So look at both sides. Focus more on your side, but don't ignore the other side. It leads me to my next point, the rhetorical appeals. The Blackboard kind of alluded to this, but I want to break this down a little further. Excuse me. If you didn't do this in your first draft, that's fine, but try to incorporate this into your final draft. The 3 main rhetorical appeals are ethos, pathos, and logos. So the first one I'll look at is ethos, which is, if you think ethos, think ethical. The ethical or credibility attributes of the speaker. And one way you can do that is to look at both sides. You seem like a credible, reasonable person if you're willing to look at multiple perspectives. Another way to do that is by showing the reader that you've done your homework, that you've studied and researched this. Obviously, the sources you're using are the pre-selected ones, but I mean, if you're using sources, it shows that you are a credible person because you're not just making stuff up off the top of your head. Pathos is the second rhetorical appeal. I mean, they're in no particular order. I'm just listing this way. Pathos is the emotional appeal. Don't rely too much on this one. You can use it, of course, but don't try to just make your audience feel anxious or feel bad or guilty about something. You can use emotion. Nicholas Carr kind of does that a little bit when he talks about technology taking over. It makes us worry a little bit. So you can use this rhetorical appeal to some extent, but don't overdo it. And then logos, think logos, logic. That is like I said, the appeal to logic. Using statistics, facts, sources. This kind of ties in with ethos a little bit because if you're good at using logos, it can help you improve your ethos as well. So try to make sure that you're using sources, not just using them, but citing them correctly. Remember the in-text citations. Make sure you put after you put a quote or a paraphrase, put the author's last name in parentheses after that quote or paraphrase, and if there is a page number, put the page number there. You don't need to put the title of the article in parentheses. You don't need to put the year of publication in parentheses. Just Smith 26. If it's Jane Smith and it's on page 26, do it that way. And then at the end for your works cited page, you'll put the entire citation. Smith, comma Jane, the title of her article, where it was published, when, and all that stuff. If you need help with that, let me know. I think I posted some resources for you before. But if you need a refresher, just let me know. And that's pretty much it. Make sure you look over the argument handouts in the week 3 folder from last week. That was what you're supposed to use to look through to respond to for your discussion board post. Those of you that submitted that, you did quite well with that. Just keep those at arm's length. There's a lot of good useful information in there for arguments. And then in your conclusion, just recap your essay, tie everything together. Don't include any new information here because at this point your reader doesn't need to be processing any new information. That should be all in the body of your essay. So just kind of wrap it up, recap your main points. You can give like a final thought or a look forward, even kind of like a warning. Don't threaten your reader, but like if you're like, if this continues on, in 20 years, we'll no longer be able to think for ourselves. I mean, that's a bit extreme, but something that gets the reader thinking, but they don't have to process new information. No new sources or quotes in the conclusion. So I hope that gives you a kind of a good handle, a good idea of what I'm looking for on this essay. This video is now 12 minutes long, so I've probably bored you enough. But if you have any other questions, please contact me. I check my email at least once a day. Also, if you want to schedule a video conference with me, I'm happy to do that as well. Just let me know. Otherwise, don't forget your second draft is due this Sunday before midnight. And then we only have one more week left. So get working on that, or continue working on that, and reach out to me if you have any questions. All right, good luck, and hope all is going well.